and somebody was coming through a light, getting ready to come through a light, and thank God I kept the brake on, or I would have been clobbered. But I realized seconds count when you're driving, literally. Now, at least, if had I gone and took the foot off, which I was about to do because I wasn't paying attention, I probably wouldn't be having this conversation with you, or feel like it, if I survived it. But no means absolutely no. No business. And I see people all the time. I do it at the light. But I'm saying if you're driving, don't even do it. Period. Because all of your attention has to be on the road. 2 seconds, folks. 2 seconds can cost you your life. I saw one idiot. Just one. The last 2 days, I was out exercising. I wasn't cycling this time. I was out running. And what do I see? A guy who was coming right at me on the sidewalk. He was distracted. Luckily, he got back on the road, and it was very peculiar. I was ready to kind of get out of the way, prepared, ready to go, so he didn't mow me down, but it was pretty freaky. But you best be sure he wasn't looking where he was going. And literally, it was on Manhattan and Tampa, if you know where that is, in South Tampa. And some of these guys are going 45, 55 miles an hour, or even more. This guy seemed like he was going at least 50 miles an hour and barreling down the sidewalk and towards me. Yikes. I think it's safer to cycle than to run. That was the first time I've seen that. I just thought to myself, man, thank God, literally, that he was looking out for me, because who knows? You definitely have to give him the praise for that. An interesting news story I came across, and this has to do with earthquakes. Scientists are predicting that as early as next year, because of the speed and variation of Earth's rotation, this is according to a new study that was presented last month at the annual meeting of Geological Society of America, which is research by Roger Billum of the University of Colorado and Rebecca Bendick of the University of Montana in Missoula, suggested that the Earth could experience devastating earthquakes next year because of a slowing of the planet's rotation, according to the Observer. The correlation between Earth's rotation, the way that I understand it, and Earth's activity is strong and suggests that there's going to be an increase of numbers of intense earthquakes next year. Billum was telling the Observer last week, referring to research that has examined magnitude 7 earthquakes and higher since 1990. Major earthquakes have been well recorded for more than a century, and that gives us a good record to study, according to Billum. He said that when Earth's rotation decreased slightly, it was followed by periods of increased numbers of intense earthquakes. The rotation of the Earth does change slightly by a millisecond a day sometimes, and that can be measured very accurately by atomic clocks. So if you have one of those, you can kind of see when that happens. And the study abstract said that since 1900, more than 80% of magnitude 7 quakes on the eastern Caribbean plate boundary have occurred 5 years following a maximum deceleration, including the 2010 Haiti earthquake. So whatever the mechanism, the 5 to 6 year advance warning of increased seismic hazards afforded by the first derivative of the length of the day is, it gives you a utility in disaster planning. The abstract said the year 2017 marks 6 years following a deceleration episode that commenced in 2011. And this is suggesting that the world has now entered a period of enhanced global seismic productivity with a duration of at least 5 years. And researchers are believing that the slight changes in the flow of the molten iron of Earth's outer core may be responsible for both effects, slowing of the Earth's rotation by milliseconds and stronger earthquakes, according to Science Magazine. So Michael Magna says, I've worked on earthquakes triggered by several variations, melting snow. A geologist, Michael Magna, by the way, he works at the University of California, Berkeley. He was telling Science about the earthquake research. His correlation is much better than what I'm used to seeing. But so, folks, we can definitely be sure that we're going to see more activity and stronger earthquakes beginning next year because of the slowing of the Earth's rotation. Did not know that. I'm sure that does not give you the warm fuzzies, because earthquakes are pretty darn scary. I spent some time out west, and they get earthquakes all the time out in L.A., but when I was out there, I was in my hotel room, and it was rattling the bed, and it was a minor tremor, and everybody, all the locals kind of laughed like that was nothing, but it was freaky. Did not like it at all. I experienced that in New Jersey back in the mid-'80s, I believe, or early to mid-'80s. But anyway, I was in the living room on 22 York Road in Newton, and the windows started shaking that same sound, and it was a tremor that went through all the way up to Canada. And but it definitely gets your attention. We've seen what earthquakes can do and the devastation, and just with the amount of population, scientists have been warning Californians for years of the big one. But they do construct buildings and the subway system out there to be able to withstand a certain amount, but they say the big one, we're talking, 9, 10 points or more, that could you could have houses rolling out of Beverly Hills. Not a pleasant thought at all, but the Earth is definitely living. It's alive, and it goes through these changes and has for 1 billion years. So this is nothing new on planet Earth. We just have to fare through it the best we can and hope and pray that these earthquakes, as the scientists say, are not as severe. But it's definitely newsworthy, and thought I would pass it along for what it's worth. But hopefully we don't see anything major, even in regards to the information that's at hand. But we have to definitely plan for the worst, hope for the best, as FEMA used to say. Russian President Vladimir Putin. Did you hear this one? He's considering quitting. He wants out. The Independent reported, citing resources and also Forbes magazine, you can check it out, said rumors that he might stand down has been circulating within Russia and within, the Russian media for the past 3 months, and noted that he had yet to make an announcement of his candidacy. The Independent said there has been much uncertainty as to whether he will run for the next presidential election, but according to various academic government and near-government sources interviewed, Putin is tired and reluctant to embark upon another major national election campaign. Forbes said that one of the rumors tossed around by Moscow-based reporters was that Putin will not run, giving himself a fourth and final shot 4 years from now should the new leader face a public backlash or take the country in a different direction. There is growing sense that this election is less about the future as it is about the end. Valery Slovov, a professor of the Moscow State Institute for International Relations, was telling The Independent the image of Putin painted in the report is of a man weary to trust anyone, holding his cards very close to his chest and reluctant to reveal his intentions to even the closest of colleagues. The Russian president has delayed officially announcing his intentions regarding the presidential elections, and many expect that a declaration wouldn't be made no earlier than mid-December. However, Three separate sources telling The Independent that Putin had been toying with the idea of leaving the presidency since last year, going as far as to instruct his administration to draft up various scenarios for his exit. And also weighing in on this, the Mirror reported that Putin, who first came to power in 2000 and has won 3 elections, of course we know how he did that, may likely step down to spend his vast fortune that will be unlocked upon his retirement. Putin has been unable to spend this money while serving as president, but as rumors surfaced about his alleged intentions to step down as leader, speculation has turned to his wealth, according to CNBC. Former Hermitage Capital Management CEO Bill Browder, he estimates Putin's net worth to be $200 billion per CNBC. Which suggests that the Russian leader had accumulated his wealth through ill-gotten gains and kept his money in the West, and all of his money in the West is potentially exposed to asset freezes and confiscation, which is kind of interesting. Yep, got it over here. Everybody knows how crooked Putin is and how he got into the election. He elected himself. Folks, remember. This wasn't a democracy. You vote for me. Russia's hurting. It'd be nice to see that get somebody in there that's legitimate, but unfortunately, it's just not the case. And it's interesting how this report says that he holds the cards close to. That's extremely Russian. This man is ex-KGB. Of course, it's going to be secretive. Personally, I don't see the guy stepping down. I think he enjoys too much of it. But who knows? Maybe he is tired. Guess we'll find out mid-December, right around the corner. But there's going to be no change, and he'll see to that there's going to the biggest thing to change agent was Mikhail Gorbachev, as you know. And he's retired at some island. You hardly ever hear him speak. Yeah, that was the reformer, but yeah, that's not Putin, and that's not the folks that are around him, unfortunately. And it's sad for Russia. Give a shot for those folks there, but man, there's a lot of. You want to talk about desperado? Yeah, you talk about mail order brides. Not the Filipinos. We're not talking about the Asian ones. We're talking about the Russian ones. I get more spam, and I have like 2 or 3 different emails, and I get more spam from those Russian bride orders. Hi, my name is, whatever, and I'm over in Russia. Would love to be your wife. I'm 23 years old. I like older men, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not seeking these things out. I don't want a Russian bride. But it's out there. And if you're entertained, there's plenty of them that love to come to America for a green card. So if you're lonely, look no further than the Russians. They love you a long time. Interesting stuff. South Korea's spy agency telling lawmakers today, this past month, well, it is today. Here we are on a Monday. Man, whirlwind trip, by the way, in Atlanta. Trip went well, wildly successful. And I came immediately back, flew back the same night as the seminar, flew out on Friday late afternoon, and I headed to Gainesville mid-morning to see Chuck, 74 years old, by the way. And if you'd like to wish Chuck a happy birthday, send me an email at forthepeopleshow.com. You can email me directly from the website, and I'll just print it off and let Chuck read them. Or if you want to send him a card, you can just send it to me, 3140 West Kennedy Boulevard, 3140 West Kennedy Boulevard, Suite K, Tampa, Florida, 33609. All right? Let me give it to you again. Keith Allen, For the People, 3140 West Kennedy Boulevard, Suite K, Tampa, Florida, 33609. If you'd like to send Chuck a nice birthday greeting at 74 in a nursing home, and he had one request for his birthday, and that request was chocolate-covered cherries. So I found a nice brand for